first 12 just to get to this level? And clearly, it seems like you guys have been playing faster. What were you guys looking at? The conversations you were having that went into almost you see it in the NBA sometimes where it's like manage your way through the season and then kind of rev it up as you get closer to the fourth season.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be a long season, and we were conscious of the amount of snaps you had. I think, you know, we weren't going to go into games and say, hey, we're going to get 100 snaps in this game. You do that 3-4 weeks in a row, then you're running your team down a little bit. And we knew this wasn't a 14 playoffs, where you play one game and then you play another game. You said, you're going to have to win 4 games to win the whole thing.
Coaches, this is going to be a totally different venue for you guys, AT&T Stadium. You played here last year, but just from your experience as an NFL coach, what that stadium's like, how loud it can get, the atmosphere. What have you guys done to prepare the players?
Yeah, we prepare like we're playing any away game, whether we're playing at Penn State or playing at Oregon, and we played in some venues that were really loud. So we've used noise in every single practice that we have, and we have to be prepared for that because we know that, how loud this stadium can get. These guys, I wasn't here, but they played in it last year against Missouri, and they know it was loud. I played here when I was in the NFL, and I know it can get really loud. I played here against LSU. I know it can get really loud. So, we've trained for that in the environment we have. So, we were indoors in our facility, and the sound was going. When we were outside, the sound was going. So, we always do that, though, whenever we're going to play an away game. So I think our experiences at Oregon and Penn State, I think, should help because those places were really loud this year for our players.
So you mentioned, is that something you learned during your time in the NFL?
What's that?
Kind of managing your way through a season.
No, the NFL, you all have to because your roster in the NFL is just totally different than college. So in the NFL, that's one of the craziest things is you line up on game day, you have 20 players dressed on offense. They have 23 dressed on defense, and there's 3 special teams. There's only 46 players dressed for a game in the National Football League. So you have 7 offensive linemen dressed. You sustain 2 injuries, and you got nobody left. You got to ready to play a tight end on the old line. So I think that's just the nature of what that league is all about. So, and it is a long season, so you have to really understand that. So we applied some of those principles a little bit here when we talked about getting to this point. I think we've played 14 now, so this is game 15 for us coming out. So.
Does it feel like
now that you're in it, experiencing this for the first time at the college level, schedule's kind of all over the map. There's a game on Wednesday, there's a game on Friday. How has this been similar or different to going through the NFL playoffs?
It's different than the NFL playoffs, just from the standpoint of what day it is. That's the only thing I don't like. I asked my wife to find out. I don't know what day today is. I know it's a Wednesday in our world, and then tomorrow. But in our world, it's a Thursday, and tomorrow's a Friday, and then the game's on Saturday. So this is what everybody in the MAC has to go through. So when you talk about MACtion and they're playing game days a Tuesday, game days a Wednesday, and you almost have. I have a calendar. We've always had a calendar, but this is what day is this? It's a Tuesday work week for us. I don't know what day it is in the real world, but it's a Tuesday for us. So that part's different. But the playoffs and winning, and there's not a lot of you win one week and then you move on. You got to go to the next game. So there's, you win a Rose Bowl. It's not like being in a, it's. I don't think these games are like bowl games to us. You know what I mean? And it's weird because you win the Rose Bowl, you win a home playoff game, then you get an opportunity to play in the Rose Bowl. You win the Rose Bowl, you get an opportunity to play in the Cotton Bowl, and then you win the Cotton Bowl to get an opportunity to play in the National Championship. Or when I played in the National Championship before, we won our last regular season game, and then 37 days later we were playing in the National Championship. There was no lead up to it; it was just all about that game. So it's different. It's more similar from a mindset of win in advance or survive in advance, so to speak. But because before, you win a Rose Bowl, and that was it. It was over. But winning a Rose Bowl gave us an opportunity to play in the Cotton Bowl. And that's really how this group is approaching. I think Ryan's done a great job with those guys in terms of what it's all about. We'll talk about our Rose Bowl experience in 3 weeks, but there wasn't a lot. After that game and we got on a plane, it was sole focus on let's get ready for Texas.
You like the NFL thing, you have trophies.
Yeah.
You get a trophy after every round.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're talking about the attrition kind of the season, specifically with running backs, it's one thing to be rested, but they also have to be playing well at the end of the season. How did you guys coach? How did you guys as coaches kind of manage that throughout the year to make sure they're getting rest, but also make sure that when you get to this part of the year?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that goes to the players. I think their preparation, both Trey sets the tone for that whole group, but for Trey and Q and their approach every day in practice. Those guys don't miss a snap in practice. They practice every day, and they know that how you practice and how you prepare is how you're going to play in the game. So, that's the one thing this group practices. We have not lightened up since we started. We're going to practice the same style. Our Tuesdays and Wednesdays are really big work days for us, and they were really big work days for us this week. And I think our guys have a really good grasp, but I feel like they know they need to go through that during the week to be prepared to play games on Saturday.
When you were talking earlier about the huddle and as a way to kind of preserve the snaps and kind of people's kind of the load management stuff for guys, now that you're here with only 2 games, 1 game to go, how do you feel that went, and how freeing is it at this point maybe not to have that in the back of your mind? We don't have to worry about that too much.
And it's in the back of your mind to manage it, but it's not in terms of how it affects your game plan. Now, if it played out in a game that you have to run 100 snaps to win a game, then we got to do whatever we can to win a game that week. I think it benefited us because of the snaps we've taken, but as we're not thinking as we go into this game, then we need to make sure that we're fresh for the next game, because if you think that way, you're probably going to lose this game and you're not going to play the next game. So our whole approach is, what is our game plan and how do we play and the style that we play so that we can beat Texas and give ourselves an opportunity to play one more time.
I guess that was more of maybe a macro idea rather than a specific game plan week in, week out thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that is fair to say.
You talked about the difference in the playoffs, but this is similar to when you coach playoffs at New Hampshire. I mean, isn't that a more similar preparation and format? So do you take anything?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. So I don't remember how we prepared for that.
Oh, okay.
Chip, Ryan made a comment last week that a lot of us latched onto, that just once you get through the regular season, that you might be able to not focus on the CEO stuff and actually get involved coaching ball at a higher level.
Someone else coach, right, Coach?
I'm sorry.
No, I chuckle. He coaches ball 24/7. So
Well,
I don't know if he can coach ball anymore because there's not more than 24 hours in a day. So.
Okay.
So he's been heavily involved in offense, defense, special teams since the day I walked in the building in February. So there's not. Now we may be in our offices getting ready for a meeting and getting ready for third down, and he's got to do something that a head coach has to do. But very rarely was he taken out of the times we had to meet.
Well, I don't think we were taking it from the perspective of
yes.
Half-assed.
No, and I think that it's not half-assing it, and it's not like he was. I mean, there's things that come up for a head coach that sometimes are different than being prepared for third down. But I think he's done an unbelievable job of managing all the responsibilities that come with being the head coach. And you think he's done a great job, And I would say he's probably more involved in offense, defense, and special teams game plan than any other head coach in the country because of how he's done it. So,
how would you describe how he handled after the Michigan game, the external stuff of need a new guy in here, you know what I mean, the whole calling for his job thing and all that kind of stuff. You've been through that, as a coach. How did he handle that?
I think he was the thing with Rye that was awesome. He was the same person every day. So when we're in the Woody, we don't talk about external anything. Whether it's we talk about praise and blame is all the same. So when you win the Tennessee game and everybody tells you how great you are, that means absolutely nothing when you walk in the doors of the Woody. So, and when you lose a game and everybody tells you how bad you are, that means absolutely nothing when you walk in the Woody. It's about the process and is how are our Sundays set up and what are we trying to prepare for to have a good training session on a Sunday, and then how does that lead into our game plan Mondays, and then how does that lead into what Tuesday looks like and Wednesday looks like. And I think he was extremely consistent, and regardless of what was going on outside of that building, every week kind of laid itself out in the same exact mindset. And I think, watching him being able to not be distracted, and I think that's one of the things we pride ourselves on, being the most prepared and the least distracted. Being distracted, you can be distracted as a coach if you pay attention to things that go on outside. And paying attention to things that go on outside that aren't about our current opponent is a distraction. And he's done a great job of not being distracted.
Can I ask you one other quickie? Do you ever, before a game like this, do you ever sit in your office and go, man, I got to come up with something. I got to come up with something that's going to surprise, or you know what I mean? Do you have those kind of moments or periods where, like your two of your first 3 plays in the Rose Bowl, or maybe you've run them, I don't remember seeing. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, coming up, being creative, whatever you want to call it.
We don't, and I understand the question, but we don't look at it that way. We look at it is how do we put together a plan that will beat this defense, and then that's really it. And there's a lot of ideas that come up, but then we have to also what can we run, what can we manage, how much is that play? Is that a good play? It's a really good play, but how much do we have to invest from a timing standpoint to be able to run that play? And if we're only going to run it once a game, then how many snaps do we really need in practice to run it? And if it's going to take 30 snaps to get it down right to run it once, and that's probably not a good play that week. It may be a better play another week. So we just look at it that way. We're just trying to put together a plan and let our players go play. And I think for a lot of us, and I've told Willis a ton about being quarterback, is you don't have to make it happen, you have to let it happen. So there's certain things that when you call a play, they may have it covered. Well, then you got to get to your check down and move on. Sometimes a good play is a gain of 4. You were looking for 40, but they took 40 away. But you don't force the 40. You just take the 4 and, kind of take a picture of that, maybe put that in your back pocket. You may come back to it later on in the third or fourth quarter when we get the right look, but that's kind of how we approach it.
When you see that pass to Jeremiah Smith, y'all caught him on the flip-flop defensively, Oregon, on the third play. When that pops, what just goes through your mind?
That Jeremiah is a special player that can turn, literally, he can turn a 4-yard pass into a 40-yard gain. So, we threw the ball from here to Cody.
I know.
And then he did the rest of it himself. So when that play hit, I was like, thank God we have Jeremiah Smith on our side.
You're kind of in that same vein, but I guess not really. When Emeka makes the catch that he made, and he was just talking about showing late hands and the ability to do that and how much he practices that, those little things that he does as a receiver, how rare is that in a guy? And is that just his experience, or do you think that's
I think it's both, and I think Brian Hartline does an unbelievable job of coaching those guys and preparing them for those situations. And that wasn't something that just happened. That was something that they work on as a wide receiver group all the time. But you also have to have somebody like Mac that's gifted like that can actually do that and to show late hands. And it's there's a bunch of guys here that work extremely hard at their craft, and the fact that you get to see that on games is we get to see that stuff in practice. They've all of those guys have done things in practice that you're just like, wow, what was that? But they really work at it. This team's work ethic is beyond, and I think that's why we're having the success that we're having right now.
I'm struck, you mentioned, right, you have a player like Emeka Egbuka, Jeremiah Smith comes in too. You have a player in Travion Henderson who's been an all Big Ten running back. When John Judkins comes in too. How do you manage people to win? And why is Ohio State a place where you kind of have these egoless players?
I think because the older players set the tone for that. So I think Travion and Mech were great because they understand that it's about winning as a team. And the only way you win as a team is if you can get better players at all positions. And depth is going to be tested. Thank God we had the depth that we have in the offensive line because we lost 2 really, really good football players this year. But Travion was extremely excited when Q was coming there. There wasn't a selfish thing in his body about, why are you bringing in another running back? It was like, great, this is going to be beneficial to him. You look how fresh Trey is right now, and I don't know if there's a better running back playing right now, in these Final Four than what he's done in the last couple of weeks in the Tennessee game and in the Oregon game. But I think that they understand that. But it comes from the older guys here, really care about the team. And it's not about individual stats. That's not what they're looking to do. They're looking to, leave a mark on this place, and you do that by winning championships. You don't do that by accumulating stats.
Does it make it easier to make that kind of pitch when you are a successful, long-time head coach who decided to take a specific role here to win?
Yeah, I didn't make any pitch. These guys were all here before I got here, so I just lucked out. Got a chance to coach some really good guys. So.
Coach Knowles was talking about the versatility of Jordan Hancock and Caleb Downs, the way they moved around. Going against them, just how difficult does that make